Hello, everybody, girls and boys, men and women, icons and superstars. Welcome to Beyond Ordinary, a space where growth isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle, darling. I'm your one and only host, Mela M. And damn, it's been a long time. And I know I said this, I think it was 2 episodes ago, that I'm back for real, for real. But then this time, I promise to be consistent. I promise to post on Mondays, Wednesdays, and on Fridays. I promise to deliver weekly insights. And then on Sundays, we do self-reflections. Okay, it's been a very long time. I missed you guys so much. Wow, what did not happen? Wow, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. But then we'll unpack those later on. I even caught a cold. I even caught a cold, which is okay. I'm getting well by the grace of the Lord. But then, yeah. In today's episode is very, very short, very intimate, very something very close to my heart. It is possibly one of the most shortest episodes I will ever record on this episode. Okay, and the topic is change, and the rest will follow. Okay, we are often stuck in cycles that consume us, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. These cycles start as if they love you. They comfort you, you find closure in them, and then you simply just end up giving in. They consume you. They consume you immensely. They consume you to a point that you are unable to see what's wrong within that environment unless if someone points it out. Okay, I conducted a study when I was gone not so long ago, and I noticed that the most self-aware people often try to escape such cycles but end up going back to them later on. For example, if someone is self-aware about the fact that alcohol is harming their body, they'll eventually leave it for a year or a few months, and then after that they would eventually go back, which is very sad to think about it. You think about all the effort that you put in, but then I want to remind you that your effort did not go in vain. I want you to, whenever you're in that state or whenever you're in that position, I want you to remember about the lessons that you've learned during that time. The idea of you being sober for so long to a point that you learned so much about yourself. You became extremely self-aware. You started new hobbies. I want you to think about it. And then think of like giving in back to old addictions, not as a way to start down your cycle, but as setbacks. Salwabana, when you're walking down on a road and then you stumble across a rock, you almost fell, but you never fell. And then the second time, wow. And then after that, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself, and you continue on the road. I want you to view things as such. That will help you to see things from a bigger lens. Okay, these cycles sorry, those cycles are closed out of those cycles often close out new opportunities, new experiences, and an endless amount, a plethora of a beautiful and beautiful life. We often look at addictions and old cycles as worst parts of our lives, but now I look at them as lessons. For example, I used to be a very horrible person. I used to be a bully, and I used to tell my sisters that I'm bullying people because I'm being bullied. I used to be bullied now, and then at some point it really did eat me up that, you know what, you're actually a horrible person, you're not nice. And then I did change because I did not love that part of me. And then after that, I learned how to control myself. And then I saw life from a different lens. I saw life at this radiating, beautiful view, and it was so nice to a point that I started radiating my energy, my aura started becoming radiant. I started spreading it out, and wherever I used to go, people, even till this day, wherever I go, people are like, "When we love your personality, you have such an outstanding personality," and then, matter of fact, let me tell you guys a mini story. I think it was a month or 2 months or a few weeks ago. My church hosted a career expo, right? During that career expo, I am so sorry. I forgot this lady's name. I am so sorry. If she's listening, I am so sorry. But then, yeah. I met this beautiful lady. Sorry, I met this beautiful lady. She was just this phenomenon being. She just had it all figured out. She's just a qualified girl. She's just living her best life, you know. And I went to her and we started talking, and I learned that whenever I socialize with people, I have a beautiful, beautiful personality to give out to people, and the world deserves to see this, you know. And then I saw life through her eyes, and then she's so beautiful to a point that not physically, okay, physically she is beautiful, like she's beyond beautiful. Words cannot describe her beauty, you know. And then also mentally, she's just this smart person who's just willing to learn, you know. She's just willing to embark on new journeys. And while I was talking to her, I mentioned the fact that I have a podcast. She was like, "Oh my goodness, I have to listen to it. You have an amazing personality. I wonder how your podcast is." Hopefully, she loves it, because if she does not, I'll be crying. But then, yes, hopefully, she loves it. So yeah, that lady gave me a lot of information. Before that, she mentioned one important point I'll never forget. She said, life will give you an endless amount of opportunities. It's either you take those opportunities with whatever you have, or you just leave them to be. And then if you leave them to be, regret is going to follow you later on. What I mean by that, I'm quoting exact words by actually. Ne? And then she continued to say, what I mean by that is that we often view life as a prison, as this idea of go to school, study, after studying, get a stable job, get married by this certain age, have kids, and do what. That is not life, you know. And she told me that if you don't love a certain part of you, you can change that part of you. And I was like so amazed, and I was like, wow, wow, wow. She said a lot of things. Some things I'll reveal them in the later episode, but then she's just this amazing person. Hopefully, may God bless her with everything she wants, right? And I learned through her eyes that, well, you know what, life is actually blissful if you learn to change. Like if there's certain aspect or part of you that you don't love, you can, and you are able to change them. You know, that part of you where you can be like, wow, I don't love this, I want to change it, and you can. You know, so yeah, one of the hardest pills I had to swallow while I was away, I'm sorry for being away by the way, was that opportunities will come and go. It's up to you if you take them or you leave them to be. Free will is given to us as we use free will is given to us. The power to do whatever you want, and you have to stop being afraid. What I mean by that is that we use our free will against us in most cases. We self sabotage, we procrastinate, and those are certain habits and parts that we should change upon our lives. You know what I mean by that? Let me tell you a mini story again. While I was away, I was constantly afraid of posting on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube, right? I was afraid of what people will say. I have an Android. I'm using an Android. I'm using a Xiaomi Redmi 14C, you know? And I was like, what will people say? The quality, the 1, 2, the 3, and 4, you know? I totally catered. I built mentions around people's opinions, totally forgetting about my dreams, my aspirations, who I wanted to become, and who I am. You know, it took a while for me to come back, and then now I'm back and I'm better. You know, but then during that lesson, I learned that people will always talk, whether it's good or bad. And what I mean by that is that you are currently in a situation or cycles that don't favor you. They talk. You drink alcohol, they talk. You do want to, they talk. It's either you change those cycles for you and not for external validation. And what I mean by external validation, I mean people outside of yourself, you know, the environment around you, you know. I feel like if we learn to focus more on ourselves rather than the external factors, life would be so blissful, you know. So yeah, so if an environment does not sustain you, it will collapse. So run before it collapses. Find a better place. Change the drinking, the smoking, the addictions, the prayer life, the attitude, the confidence, the way you see yourself, the friends, the relationships, and the rest will follow. You know, one last message of the day is that change. change is necessary, change is inevitable. I was telling this other podcaster of mine, she's actually a friend of mine. Her name is Gabitu Gia. Very interesting girl. And her name, her podcast name is Well, Here We Are Again. It's on Spotify, by the way. You can listen to it. Very interesting podcast. I was telling her that change is inevitable. We cannot escape it. And it's either one way or the other. It's going to allocate you. And then when it presents itself to you, it's going to give you a plethora, an option, a table decked with options, and it's either you take them or you just choose to sleep, and you sleeping is you killing yourself. So change is inevitable. It is needed for the human body. Aubrey Mbata once said, humans cannot live in one place for way too long. Humans were never meant to stay in one place for way too long. Change is inevitable. With that being said, see you guys in the next episode. I love you so much, and I promise to be consistent. I promise to deliver episodes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then on Sunday we're doing self-reflections. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much. Mwah.